Today's review is going to be my thoughts on LOOTRIVER, which came out some time ago but has been gaining a little bit more traction and popularity, primarily because of its inclusion on Xbox Game Pass. So what you're seeing here is footage that I recorded earlier in the week, playing it on my PC. I do recommend, if you are going to check this game out, use a controller. It is significantly better. You're going to be doing a lot of two-stick manipulation. And I'll tell you what, using that kind of control scheme on a keyboard with a mouse is incredibly baffling, and you're not going to like it. So this is really a controller game. Okay. So what is LOOTRIVER? Well, LOOTRIVER is the latest in a long line of roguelite games in which you are tasked with getting better and better and better, primarily through repetition of dying, of course, as you slowly build up and understand tactics and understand gameplay mechanics and get some passive abilities that will make your heroes stronger as time goes on. This isn't really a unique formula. You know, roguelikes, roguelite, the names to me are interchangeable, although some would disagree. I love them all, and I've been playing them for a very long time. Rogue Legacy is one of my favorites. Spelunky is one of my favorites. I even love Risk of Rain as well. So, to me, it has a lot. A game like this has a high benchmark of really drawing me in, and unfortunately, I don't think it quite got there for me. I think I played, all told, about 6 or so hours before I kind of got my fill. Maybe I'll come back to it. Probably not, but maybe. But I want to at least introduce it to other people because it's got some cool things going for it. It's got some interesting mechanics going for it. And, you know, the world needs more of these kind of games. So let's talk about the good things first. Then we'll talk about the bad things. There's a couple of those. First and foremost, this game does implement a pretty cool little mechanic. And that is the platform moving mechanic, which you are seeing on display pretty much as I am playing. Think of it as another way of movement tech. You still have your traditional dodge rolls, you have parrying, you can obviously move your character out of the way, or you could take the whole damn platform with you and slide it away. Now this is very, very, very useful in combat for a couple reasons. One, you could charge up an attack away from an enemy, then slam the platform into where you want to go, releasing said attack, and rinse and repeat, and you can kind of cheese enemies doing this, although I think the game kind of anticipated you to do that because in later levels you will fight enemies that have more ranged attacks. This is the first level that you're going to be playing in. They give you a small tease of it there with those pink enemies that throw those explosive orbs at you. But the reality is you're going to be able to get away with this probably a lot more than they did intend, so keep that in mind. The movement mechanics are also good for just getting out of the way. If there is an attack that you're about to get hit by, just take the whole platform with you. This includes things like poison and explosives and AoE attacks that you don't want to deal with. You can also use this to separate packs of enemies. So go on an opposing platform, kite an enemy or two, and then drag them away from the rest of the enemies where you can slowly and systematically disable them. This adds a lot of variability to the gameplay because it's procedurally generated, so you never know what platforms you're going to get. Now, the platforms aren't really puzzle-based, and by that I mean there's not really a whole lot of manipulation, Tetris-y kind of style of moving pieces around to get that perfect combination. You're going to be pretty free to move anywhere you want. There is an exception. You will find platforms that have staircases built into them, and the staircases can only be used to go up to higher levels, where sometimes some of the better treasure chests are. But short of that, for the most part, this game's pretty forgiving in how you want to traverse. It's kind of up to you. Alright, this game also supports a really cool leveling system, which I don't want to say really cool because it's not actually that wild and different. It's your traditional standard strength, intelligence, dexterity, all that kind of stuff, right? And you put points into that, which will raise your abilities. You'll get items as well that you'll pick up, namely in the sake like a ring or something like that, that will change slightly how you play. You'll have a couple of these. It's totally random, so you may play a very strength build like I am playing in this particular playthrough. You may want to go a little more vitality for your playthrough if you're trying to make a run at a difficult boss. It's kind of up to you. So you have a little bit of flexibility there, but as with all roguelike games, when you die, you start at 0.0, and you're going to have to start all over again. Now, there are some other things that help out in your progression, namely in learning these new abilities via these arts, essentially, that will teach you different attack combos or grant you access to different types of weapons. I am traditionally a sword and board kind of guy, and I stuck to a sword almost exclusively in my time with this game, but there's spears and axes and other things that you will come across as well in your adventures, and getting points in there will allow you to, one, unlock those, and two, allow you to do slightly different attacks with them as well. So that's kind of nice. There is a little bit of flexibility there. Additionally, at the beginning of every level, you will meet a vendor who will let you bank potions. Now, just like every game, you get a small amount of potions with you that restore a pretty good amount of health. And if you're clever about it, you can actually bank potions before entering a particular run. By doing that, if you successfully complete the run, which is now obviously more of a challenge because you have less healing, you will actually double the potions you invested in. So if you put 2 potions in, and now you're down to 2, right? So you start with 4. You have 2 potions on you, and you lose, or you win, right? At the end of the dungeon, however many potions you had with you, you're going to get 4 back, because you put in 2, they double those, which is a really cool mechanic, really nice risk and reward. If you're confident in some of the earlier levels that you kind of know how to navigate, this is a great way to bank up potions for the more challenging levels and some of the bosses and stuff that you'll be facing later on. That's going to give you just a little bit better chance of victory. So I really like that mechanic. I think that's something that kind of changes up gameplay from run to run. But it's not all roses, and there are a lot of things that kind of hold me back from really heavily investing in this experience. The first and foremost, unfortunately, is the aesthetic, which wasn't really doing it for me. It's a pixelated, I don't want to say isometric, more like a God's eye view, essentially, of kind of what's going on in the world, but it loses so much detail. Yes, you can clearly tell that this is a dilapidated structure. You can see rocks and targets and that sort of thing on the ground. And the pixel art that you can see is actually really pretty. The problem is a lot of the enemies, even your player character, which you're going to be looking at quite a bit, just doesn't have enough detail to really kind of tell what's going on. And I think that hurts the experience because it's hard to get invested in a game when you're looking at this kind of very small pixelated figure that walks around. It's hard to feel invested in that. Compare this to a game like Rogue Legacy 2 with really bright, vibrant, colorful sprites. Think of how pretty that game looks. Think of the lighting effects when you hit a spell with a fireball. Think of how lanterns explode into small little pieces and the embers kind of trickle out. You get some of that here. Clearly my character has a light source emanating from them. You see little dust and water particles splashing up from time to time, but it's just not very immersive. I don't know why they chose a pixel art style to go with this game. I feel like the design aesthetic just doesn't match the mood. And I feel like there's a major disconnect there. So I'm disappointed by the graphics first and foremost. The other thing that was frustrating to me is the actual process of upgrading takes a little too long. These games are meant to be punishing, okay? A roguelike game is not meant to be easy. It's meant to punish you early, kind of force you to pay your dues, for lack of a better word. And that's to understand the gameplay mechanics, that's to understand the importance of where to stand and how to fight, and that's also to kind of allow you to invest in something, and that's where you get that progression loop. Every time you do something, you get stronger, or you get more powerful, and that continues from playthrough to playthrough. I like that. The problem is with this game, it really drip feeds it in really bad ways. As a matter of fact, in the 6 hours I played, I only unlocked one new weapon, and it was kind of a disappointment. It took so long to find vendors that really gave me anything meaningful. There's a guy you can donate money to, but it doesn't really do anything for a while. You have the aforementioned potion vendor, and then you have the guy to donate some of those blue crystals on the side to. And they take a long time to generate. and they don't really seem to be significantly impactful in future runs. That was a big problem I had. And the other problem I had, and you're going to see this here as I get ready to wrap up this video, the movement in this game is a little wonky at times. It seems like there were prefabricated animations in which dodging and rolling and everything took place. The problem with this, though, is it breaks the flow of combat, and sometimes it's hard to tell what's going on. There's actually an instance here where the game will actually break on me and I am done. I have to actually forfeit my run because I found an ability that teleports a combo attack as a backstab. Really cool concept. It's going to allow you to beam in behind an enemy and get essentially a free hit. But the game gets confused where I am and it teleports me in the wrong place. And you're seeing this teleporting now. And ultimately I have to surrender. I can't move. As a matter of fact, it looks like I'm on that platform all the way on the right. But give me a second. Watch as I move around my right thumbstick and you'll see exactly where the game thinks I am. This was a game-breaking bug, and I had to actually stop my run. There was no way to proceed. And that was incredibly frustrating, and I found this happening quite a bit, where the game got confused as to where I was. It's sad because this game came out so long ago. You think that these issues would have been polished, but they were not. I think there are other roguelike games out there that are better, that do this concept better, and as fun as the novelty is of moving around with the platform-based combat, it just doesn't hold up to some of the other games that I think are more worth your time. So this is a pass for me, but I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on this experience. The name of the game, Loot River. Check it out on Game Pass today. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.